Welcome, my name is Constantine, and this is another episode of the Wandering Watercolor. So today we are painting the 10th page of the Quaint Scenery watercolor coloring book. It's a coloring book that I make that you can paint in any medium really. I make everything through the use of lithographs. If you're here because you purchased it from me, thank you, I really appreciate you. I do put a lot of work into them. And if you're here just because you want to paint along, that's totally fine. Just pause the image and then draw it out and then continue playing when we start painting. And with that, let's get to it. So this is the image that we are painting today, or this is the uncolored version, I should say. And this is what the colored version would look like. This is another little village somewhere in Switzerland, and this one's looking a little more cartoony, but should be pretty straightforward. Everything's kind of like partitioned, kind of like parted where the different colors are, so not too much blending or confusion there. So yeah, as always, I always recommend having a rag and a scrap piece of paper. This is from the last video. So scrap piece of paper, doesn't have to be watercolor, it can be anything really. And these are the palettes. I make the palettes myself. I used to include a brush in them. This is the brush that I'm using. If you bought one from me, this is what I'll be painting the whole scene with. But I'll probably stop including the brush just because it's getting harder and harder to source the brush from suppliers. And I make the paint myself. I grind up the pigment and everything, so I can continue doing that, no problem. So also have a plate or something like this is a soap dish, but you can have a regular porcelain plate or anything just to mix your colors on. And I also have a cup of water on the side here, and that's pretty much it. So first we will begin with getting some green. We're going to cover this whole area back here, and then we'll also do the mountain in the distance, just like we did with the previous video. And we want to make this a yellow green, a very yellow sort of green. So we're going to add more of the darker yellow, and then a little bit of the lighter yellow. That's looking pretty good. I'd say that's good right there. But we do want to add a bunch more water because it'll just be a flat wash. So it'll be even all throughout. We'll go ahead and get started. Go right there. Got a little bit in the building, that's fine. Not to worry about. And then as we get up here, it's a little lighter, so I'm just going to get water. I'm not even dipping it back into the color that we mixed with. I just got some straight water and just using the pigment that's in the bristles of the brush. And it comes out a little lighter that way. Or much lighter, depending on how much pigment is in the actual brush itself. Then go down here again. And this is just the base coat. I am giving a little bit of gradation from light to dark as I'm painting this. It's not really necessary, it just kind of helps make it look a little more interesting. And maybe a little more heavy pigment on the buildings, or the trees that are in between the buildings, since they're not as directly exposed to the light. The light seems to be coming in this way. Anyway, keep painting over here. Need some water. Okay, so we covered all that pretty quickly. A little spot here that I'm just evening out. And then we're gonna continue with the bushes and trees that are in between the buildings. Okay, there's one little one right there. Looks maybe like a garden in somebody's back porch or something. A little bit right there. Right there. Just take a good look, make sure we're not missing anything. I think that's it as far as the green part goes. Kind of rub this in a little bit. I'm just adding a little more like a shadow here with the same color. I didn't add anything to the color. I'm just giving it a little more form. Usually I wait until later on to do this, but I figured since the wash itself was such a light color, then we can go ahead and do that. And this might look a bit darker, but remember, it will dry much lighter. Okay, so we're good on that. We'll work on the one back here and get some blue right there. And then just get a little bit of green. That kind of looks like what we need right there. I'm just gonna go right here. Just a straight flat wash. Just like that. Okay. We'll rinse our brush. Just like in the last one, there's a lot of buildings that have a salmon color to them. Here, bring the reference like here, here, kind of like all throughout. So we will be mixing that color next. Just move on over to a clear spot on your plate or whatever you have available. And then we will get a little bit of brown. I need a little bit of this darker yellow, but I gotta clean out my yellow because I got too much green in it. So I'm just gonna clean that out. A little bit of yellow. A little bit of red. Okay, maybe a little more red. Yeah, that's probably a little too red, but let's put some white in there. It's looking pretty close to the color that I need. Let me get my test here. A little more red. And a little more white. That's better. It's looking better. Let's see. It's a little better, but I wanted a little more red. Maybe a little more yellow. That's looking closer to the building color. More white. That's pretty much it. So just grab that and then go right in, go over the details We will go in later on and add some more, so that's fine. Just going right in like that. So that's looking good so far. And then cover in right here. Like that. And this here on the side. Had a little piece of lint or something on my brush. Okay, and then let's see. Down here, this building. Okay, and this building right here, behind the trees. We're also going to add just like an outline right here, and right here. There, and one right here. I'm guessing some of these roofs just have like partial white on them. And right here. It's fairly straightforward. A little more in this building. And just painting right over the windows. We will put a little more detail with darker colors in the windows later on, but for now we're just going to paint right over them. And we're just going for all the sides of the buildings. And right here as well. Just gonna put all of this. And then this, this. Feel free to go slowly just because it gets a little confusing right here because of how much information is right there. But there's no rush. You can just kind of fill it in as you go. Right here. And then here. And then this last building right here, I think that's the last one. Oh, and the one right, there's like a wall back here, almost. Like that, and like that. That's it. We're gonna rinse off our brush. The next set of building colors that we will go ahead and fill in are they're kind of a gray blue. So we're gonna get a little bit of, that's too much probably. A little bit of that, a little bit of this, and then also some of the green. That just about looks like the color that we need. I'm gonna dilute it with water though. It's too dark, too much pigment in it right now. The color that we're going for is very similar to the one from yesterday. So I would say that this is pretty much the color that we need. I'm just gonna add a little more water and then go right in. First thing is this church looking building. But we're not going to color all of it. Kind of do like an outline around it. Like that. Color this part. And then down here, this building in the back. And just do an outline right here. The outline, I know it doesn't make sense in terms of how it would look like in real life. This is more like a stylistic choice because it helps move around the color without making it too strong, because you still want to have some of the parts of the white underneath show. It just helps bring a lot more balance to the image. There. And back here. And right here. And also back here, this little building. And following like this. And also right here. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Let me just double check. I don't think there's any other color over here. Okay, we're good on that. And rinse off our brush. And next, you're gonna clean off our yellow right here. And then just gonna get some of that. And actually we'll get some of this yellow as well, so it's not too overpowering. Maybe a little bit of brown just to dull it down a little bit. That looks better. And we're just gonna go right in here. Just again, just color in over all of the details. We got that, and right here. There's building right down here. Just going right in. Don't worry about the details. Building right here. And then these rooftops right here, along with this building going down. And then right here. And I think that's it for that one. We're good on that. I'm gonna rinse off my brush. I'm gonna find a clean spot on my plate, or just switch out with this one. And the next thing is we're gonna mix kind of like a brown gray. Pretty much exactly like that. I'm gonna dilute it with water, and I'm gonna fill in some of the other buildings. So this one up here, this little tower, this is kind of a brown gray. Got a little something on my brush again. And then back here, this is a brown gray. This whole thing right here, same color. And just filling it in evenly. It's an even flat wash. And this building all the way down. Like that. And again, remember, you don't have to worry about being 100% inside of the lines. It'll look just fine if you're not. There's a couple of spaces that I kind of went outside of the line, and they're hardly noticeable. See, I was supposed to leave this roof white, but that's totally fine. Don't sweat it. Okay. And then all of this building right here, same color. And down here, this building, leave the roof white. And the side of that building back here, all of that. And then we will do an outline right here, like that. Okay, well, that looks good so far. Rinse our brush. Next, we will do the parts that are just gray. We're just gonna get the black and kind of dilute it with water. I got a little bit of the brown in there. That's okay. Just dilute it with water. You see kind of how it looks like a gray when you have less pigment in there. That's what we're aiming for. So basically, we're just gonna go in, fill that in right there. Same with right here. And down here. And the side of this building down here, this roof. The side of this building. And then the side of this building above the roof of the yellow building. And this little building right up here, the side of that, like that, and like that. That's pretty much it for that. The roof of this little one. I'm gonna dry off my brush and pick up some of this pigment here, or some of the water actually. And then the side right here. That's looking good. And same right here. Okay. So far, so good. I think everything's looking pretty good. And while we're still on the dark color, we can go ahead and I dried off my brush completely, and then now I'm just grabbing some pigment just directly from here. And what we're gonna do is I'm gonna sculpt my brush again a little bit, rub it off on the side there, and then just try to make sure that I can get a nice thin edge. Get a little more pigment, and then just kind of, there we go. And just go in and do some outlines on the roofs, like on the bottom of them, along with where you see those little black spots for windows and doorways, and just kind of give them a little bit of a boost. That was a little wet, that's okay. And like that, just like that. And this one, the ones up here, a little bit of a outline for the roof, and right here, and then horizontal outline back here, all of those, maybe even a little vertical one there, or at an angle. Okay. All of that. And basically just go slowly through all the little dark spots. Definitely want to outline this window right here, or this roof, the bottom of it. Straight across. And continue on. Oh, see, I messed up there. That's okay. Like that. And you don't have to do every single one. Actually, it'll add some variability if you don't. Make it look a little more interesting. Like some of them stick out, some of them don't. It makes it more pleasant to look at. And just like that. And that roof line right there, like that. And then I just did 3 little dots right down there. It does not have to be perfect, especially with this brush. This brush is not very good for details. I just use it because it shows that you can get detail. You just have to kind of like work it and just pay a little more attention, go a little slower maybe. I used to always be kind of on the hunt for like the perfect watercolor brush, and I realized that there isn't such a thing. You start learning how to make any brush work when you just get better at it. Now there's certainly brushes that I prefer, but honestly I've painted some beautiful paintings just with a really cheap like 50-cent Walmart brush. Came in a pack of a dozen other ones for like $3. And then just throw that in. Take a moment, step back, look at it. Yeah, I'd say that looks pretty good. I just realized that apparently when I was mixing some color, I got a little splatter over there on the side of my... Let's see if I could pick any of that up with my wet brush. Just kind of rub it in there. That's normally how you would go about picking up color. Although usually with watercolor, once it's on there, it's on there. That's it. You just got to make it work. But since there's a large white area here that there's no other color, I'm able to pick up most of it. You can still kind of see some of it, but it looks fine. Now the next part, we will go back to the green for the background here. Rinse off my brush, and this time I'm going to get a little more green and a little more brown, a little bit of yellow, and more brown, and more green, just kind of building up the dark tones. There we go. Okay, that looks good. That is exactly the color that I want, and we just go in and start layering it in just like we did at the last video. Just kind of like maybe little hues. This whole thing is actually going to be more of a shadow here. Shadow all the way through to about here. We're going to make the shadow climb up here a little bit like that. And just do some kind of sporadic stippling almost, where you're just kind of like putting some dots, maybe some short U-shaped strokes, just like that. And then up here, maybe kind of clear off your brush and then just kind of pick up some of that color, lighten it up, but still use whatever's left on your brush to just make some marks here, and just like that, so you can still see some of the texture. And rub off the brush, dry it off, and then there we go. And pick up some more of the dark color and get in here and build up those shadows on the bottom. Okay. Just like that. Okay, continue building them up more towards the bottom, and kind of as it goes up, diffuses into more just marks, because that helps establish the form, gives the viewer more of an idea of where the shadows are falling. Okay, just fill in more down here. All of this really dark color dries much lighter. You know, when it's done, it looks much lighter. Over here, for the edge, kind of how it just drops off, we're just going to fill that in just with dark green. All the way through, going up to the edge of the water. Just like that. I might even put a little more. Just like back here, I'm just going to go in and add a little more dark. We want it to be darker than that, because it adds variability in the dark tones. Okay. Okay. So, all of that looks pretty good. Just gonna add a little more. A little more right there. And also, don't forget these ones over here. Between the buildings. I'm gonna stop, look at it for a moment. I like how all of that looks so far. What I'm gonna do though is I'm gonna get some of this yellow and I'm gonna dilute it with water. And I'm just gonna go ahead and just do kind of like a wash over the top here, because that way it shows kind of like where the sun is beating down on the side of the mountain, kind of illuminating it, so that looks a little better. So we're good on that. And then I'm gonna get a little bit of blue and a little bit of the green, kind of mix it up. That's probably a good color right there. Add some water and just fill in right down here. And just fill in just a flat wash all the way through. There we go. Just like that. That's perfect. For the sky, that's the easiest part. We are just gonna move over to a clean part on our plate, get some of the blue right here. And just go right up here, gonna make some marks like that. Make some Just like that. Don't overthink it, because when you do, then they start getting messed up. So just like that. Okay, so that's good. Rinse off my brush, go back to my green, and grab a little bit of the darker blue-green here. Teal, very strong teal color there. I'm just gonna go along the side of where the mountain is. Just gonna go in. Also kind of come down here and just maybe do some lines across the water and just towards the back here and just across the water a little bit. And let's take a look at that. That's pretty much it. Yeah. It looks... I like it. I like how the whole composition looks and how the colors turned out. So yeah, good job. If you followed along, way to go. So that was it for the 10th and final page of the Quaint Scenery watercolor coloring book. Again, everything is in the description. Keep in mind, you don't have to use the same colors. You can use any colors. Honestly, you can use like oil ink, acrylic. The quality of the paper is very good, so it'll handle any of those mediums. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. And other than that, I'll see you next time.